Welcome to Mobil1 the Grid. Coming up today, Jenson Button names his Formula 1 top 4. And we follow the Porsche Carrera Cup to Japan. Today's show gets underway with a trip to the UK to meet one of the latest generation of Bentley boys.
Guy Smith started his career in open-wheel racing and in 1998 moved to America to compete in Indy Lights, where he won Rookie of the Year. Off the back of that, he was offered the chance to return to Europe.
The big break for me came when I met Stefan Johansson. I was racing the Indy Lights series in America in the late 90s, and I was driving for a team managed and owned by Stefan Johansson, the former Ferrari and McLaren F1 driver. At the end of the 1999 season, Stefan was looking to do a return to sports car racing and go back to Le Mans with his own team. He actually asked me whether I'd be interested in going to do sports cars in Le Mans, and to be honest with you, I never really thought about sports car racing. I thought it was maybe something for the older driver or whatever else, but it turned out to be a real sort of turning point in my career.
After a promising start in touring cars, the young Brit was offered a seat by Bentley, who are planning a return to Le Mans in the LMP1 class. In 2003, he was paired with Ronaldo Capello and Tom Christensen to drive the Bentley Speed 8 prototype.
The goal for 2003, without doubt, was to win the race. I mean, it's a bold statement because obviously Le Mans is a racing you can't underestimate. It's incredibly tough, but we felt that we'd prepared. We had a great car, a car that was capable of winning. But of course, there's so many twists and turns in endurance racing, you never quite know what's going to happen. But fortunately for us and for the 8 car as well, we had a pretty much near faultless race to finish 1-2, which was a fantastic result for Bentley, making a return to Le Mans and adding to the history books.
After the incredible victory at Le Mans, Smith's career took off. He returned to the States to continue racing prototypes with Dyson Racing in the American Le Mans Series.
To have a win like Le Mans on your CV is a fantastic achievement. I think it rubber stamps your seal of approval. I mean, all the time, you're trying to convince team managers that you're good and you're fast and you're reliable, and when you say actually I've won Le Mans, then it's kind of that seal of approval, and all they have to do is look at the record books and it's there. During my time in the States, I met a team called Dyson Racing, Chris Dyson and Rob Dyson, that are probably the most longest standing race team in the US, probably outside of Roger Penske. And we just talked after my stint at Le Mans in 2004. We talked about making a move to the American Le Mans Series, which at the time was really booming. In terms of sports car racing outside of Le Mans, that was kind of the place to be. So I already had an eye on making the move, and when Dyson Racing made me the offer to move over there, for me it was a no-brainer, and pretty much been out there since pretty much until last year. So thoroughly enjoyed my time over there and really enjoyed the racing.
After winning the 2011 ALMS Championship with Dyson, Smith was contacted by old employer Bentley, who wanted him to spearhead their return to racing with the GT3 Continental in the Blancpain Endurance Series.
Making a return to Bentley is obviously a fantastic opportunity. Obviously, having the win with Bentley in 2003 was a great highlight, but when the opportunity came and Bentley announced that they were making a return to racing in the GT3 class, for me it was, I felt very honoured, first of all, that they called me, and secondly, to be associated with any manufacturer is fantastic, but a brand like Bentley, it doesn't really get any better than that.
The car made its competitive debut at Monza. By round 2 at Silverstone, Smith was back on the winner's rostrum, a feat he repeated at round 3 in France.
I still feel like I'm a 17-year-old kid. Every time I get in the car, I want to prove myself, I want to do the best job that I can do, and winning the Blancpain Championship would be a fantastic addition. It's incredibly tough and challenging, but I want to put myself against the best drivers in the GT field and try and prove that I can do it in a GT car as well as an LMP1 car, and that's the challenge for me.
Formula 1 now, and after just missing out on a podium at the British Grand Prix, Jenson Button explains what his perfect year would entail. The 2014 Formula 1 season is more endurance race than sprint, visiting 19 different countries over the course of 9 months. McLaren's Jenson Button has won 15 Grand Prix on 5 different continents, but a dream year for the former world champion would include a quartet of race wins close to his heart.
I have 4 races that I would love to win in one season. I've won 3 of them before, at different points in my career. And the reason why I love them are different reasons, really. The first Grand Prix is Suzuka, because I love the way that the Japanese fans really support every single driver on the grid. And Suzuka is a real fast-flowing circuit. It's unforgiving. One mistake and you're in the wall. And I think the old school tracks like that are circuits that every single driver would really like or love to win on. And I achieved that in 2011. The second race on my list would be Spa, a circuit that has so much history, but again, it's this circuit that means so much to drivers, because when you're pushing the car to the limit through that circuit, through the S's and through Eau Rouge and Blanchimont, there's such an adrenaline rush and you know that you're doing something very special. Number 3 would be where I live now, in Monaco. It is just so unforgiving. One little mistake and you're in the barriers. So when you get the perfect lap around there in qualifying, it probably means as much to you as winning a Grand Prix. I qualified on pole in Monaco and I won the Grand Prix in Monaco back in 2009. The fourth Grand Prix, it's Silverstone. It's my home Grand Prix. It's a fast-flowing circuit. It's based on an airfield, so it's very windy, which adds to the excitement, really, I think, of pushing a Formula 1 car through there. When everyone watches a Formula 1 car at Silverstone, it takes their breath away. The British fans mean the world to me, and I've had their support through good times, through bad times. So to win that Grand Prix, I think will be the most special if and when I win it. 3 of the circuits I've chosen are similar in style, in terms of fast and flowing. Monaco is the one that stands out to be very, very different. I don't know if anyone's won all 4 of them over a period of time. That is my aim, but the most important thing would be to do it in 1 year.
We're making our way to Japan now to catch up with the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia.
As the region's leading race series, the PCCA already visits China, Malaysia and Singapore. This year the series made its Japanese debut with a trip to the Fuji International Speedway.
It's special to come to Japan because it has such a rich motor racing history, and I think all the fans here are really crazy about motor racing, so it's a real privilege to come here. Japan has some of the best circuits in the world. You know, the elevation change and the style of circuit is brilliant.
It's very important for the championship to come to Japan. Japan is holding a long history in motorsports. Got some really amazing tracks, like the one here in Fuji. New track for a lot of drivers, so yeah, a lot of nice challenges.
The circuit in the foothills of Mount Fuji is one of motorsport's most iconic venues. For the drivers, the weekend's racing threw up the challenge of mastering both the track and the seemingly ever-changing weather.
I think what's tricky about the Fuji Speedway is, you know, the width of the track, it's so wide, but then the long, fast-flowing corners that you have, and you have to have a really nice rhythm. And a little added challenge that Japan put on for us this weekend is the weather. It makes it a challenge because we just had the free practice and dry, and now we're going to qualifying blind in the wet.
What is interesting on this track, I think, it's apart from the straight here, there's rarely another straight in the track, so it basically always keeps on turning. A lot of height differences, blind corners, a very long straight with a good opportunity for overtaking in the first corner.
Everyone taking part in the series drives the Porsche 911 GT3, making for an extremely competitive series, and the grid is rewarded for their driving skills and not the size of their engine.
In a one-make series, it's very important that you have a very close relationship with your team and your engineer. Since you can't change things like shocks or other parts basically of the car, you have to find the best setup with the equipment that you are given by Porsche. Well, the key for this weekend to have a good result is going to be quite difficult, and I think slightly different from what we've had in the previous races. We have to anticipate on what's coming rather than what is currently the situation, because it takes a little bit of time to make changes to the car.
After a wet qualifying session, the first race of the weekend was won by last year's PCCA champion Earl Bamber, who was followed home by Austrian Martin Ragginger, with B-class driver Alif Handman completing the lineup on the podium. In keeping with its sister series elsewhere around the world, the Carrera Cup Asia provides a level of competition that really is the highest in the region. It explains why the series attracts the best young Asian drivers and experienced racers like Martin Ragginger, Earl Bamber and former Formula 1 reserve driver Ho Pin Tung.
The grid here in Porsche Carrera Cup Asia is very competitive. You know, you have 4 or 5 guys that can always win races, that have driven international championships all around the world, and I think it's one of the most competitive Carrera Cups around.
There are a lot of experienced drivers in the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia. There's also a lot of very specialized drivers driving the Porsche 911. The level of drivers required is very high in order to be fast, and at the front of the field it's very close. We're all battling very hard with each other, and the margin, like the differences, are very tiny.
For the final race of the weekend, the starting grid was once again led out by Earl Bamber. With more stable conditions, he was able to take control of the 30-minute race to claim a second victory of the weekend and move to the top of the championship leaderboard.
We started from pole position today in the second race, and we got a really good start. It was damp on the inside, so it was a little bit difficult to defend. Reggie put a little bit of pressure, but then we managed to get a good first lap. It was cleanly away. It was difficult to feel the grip because we haven't driven in the dry, but the LKM team's done a brilliant job with the car. It was just on rails, made my job easy, so I have to really thank them for this win. I think it would be great if we came back. We've got so many good tracks over here in Japan. I enjoyed every minute of it, so yeah, it would be nice to come back.
Coming up after the break, we catch up with the world of outlaws and check out the latest action from NASCAR's Sprint Cup. Welcome back to Mobil1 the Grid. Charlotte, North Carolina is the destination now as we catch up with dirt track racing's finest.
For the last 30-odd years, the world of outlaws has been tearing up the ovals of America, expanding its roster of drivers, fan base, circuits and prize money along the way.
The World of Outlaws is a series that was created in 1978. It basically combined the drivers that used to race here and there across the country and in some cases around the world. It put them all together to race for the big purses. The drivers are incredible, world-class racers, each one of them. We've traveled with roughly 15 cars full-time. Everywhere we go, the local racers come in and try to basically steal the purse from us. It all comes together to put a show on for the fans that want to make them come back again and bring their friends.
Now in its 37th season, the series has become a slick racing machine that travels from coast to coast and all the way up to Canada, staging 92 events throughout the year. Arguably the most important part of a dirt track race is the surface the cars actually compete on, but preparing a state-of-the-art 4/10 of a mile oval is no easy feat.
Setting up a dirt track is like a science experiment, and everywhere you go, every track is different. They're actually clay in most cases, so it's a combination of watering and tilling, and you want to create a bit of a cushion if you can. Ideally, you want to give the drivers a chance where they can run side by side in what we call slide jobs in the corner, where one car will come up, one will come down, and just keep thrilling the fans with that. So a great track gives the drivers a chance to put on a good show.
Once the track is ready for racing, it's left to the mechanics to prep the 900 horsepower, 1400 pound open wheel race cars to ensure they can hit speeds in excess of 140 miles per hour.
The engines only weigh 350 pounds with water and oil, so the weight to power ratio is absolutely crazy. It makes it like driving a missile some days that you have no control of.
When the green flag dropped at Charlotte, old rivals Donny Schatz and Joey Saldana found themselves battling for first place. The yellow flag put an end to Schatz's chances of victory, but the Knights still got Memorial Weekend off to a stunning start.
It's a pretty good day. Obviously, we come here every night wanting to win the race. You know, this team has done a tremendous job today. We got a quick time, which is kind of uncharacteristic for us. Had a good heat finish, came from 6th to 2nd in the dash, and fought for the win all night long. So we were competitive. We were very competitive, and it's all you can ask for.
At the end of the night, after that checkered flag waves, everybody's welcome down to the pit area. Come up, meet the drivers, shake their hands, get their pictures, get their autographs. It's the only place you can do that. A lot of times, whether we're in Charlotte or we're somewhere else, we bring our series to the fans, where we bring it to their backyards. In some of the other types of racing, you have to go see their racing. We pride ourselves on bringing our racing to you. That's a big part of what we do.
We're staying in the USA now as another of the world's top drivers takes on our 60-second challenge. With 2 wins this season, Simon Pagenaud is currently 4th in the IndyCar Championship. Beating his rivals out on the ovals is becoming a specialty, but how will he cope with our ultimate time trial?
My name is Simon Pagno, driver for the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsport Honda team. This is my 62nd. The proudest moment of my career was winning in Detroit last year. My first IndyCar win was certainly incredible for us. My favorite circuit to race at is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because it's such a legendary racetrack and the speeds are just beyond reasonable. If I was to race in other series, I would love to race in World Rally Championship. That's a series that I'm really interested in and that fascinates me. The moment that inspired me the most as a race fan was in Le Mans, the 24 hours. I was with my dad as a kid. I was 8 years old, and I remember perfectly seeing that Jaguar going by and thinking, wow, this is incredible. That's really what I would like to do someday. If I were a superhero, I think I'd like to be Austin Power. Probably for the shoes. One thing I would take to the desert island, I believe that would be women. Yeah, women. That's it, time is up, and that was my 60 seconds. Time to go racing now.
As we head into the second half of the motorsport calendar, it's time to take a look at the standout moments of the season to date. Every year in teams across the grid, designers, engineers, pit crews and drivers are striving to find the winning formula that can launch a career or win a championship. 2014's been no exception, with some memorable moments so far. Bentley's return to racing a decade after their memorable victory at Le Mans soon paid dividends. They claimed their first win in the Blancpain Endurance Series at Silverstone and followed that up with victory number 2 at the next round in France. In a season dominated by VW, Hyundai reached a significant landmark in Mexico when Thierry Neuville claimed their first ever WRC podium. The i20's first win soon followed in the French Championship Rally Antibes-Côte d'Azur. Rallycross has earned itself a fully sanctioned World Championship for the first time in 2014, and its first ever winner was Peter Solberg. The ex-WRC champion claimed a spectacular victory in Portugal at the start of his quest to become a world champion once again. Across the Atlantic, Team Penske's Juan Pablo Montoya underlined his IndyCar credentials at Pocono with a first victory since leaving the series 13 years ago. Kevin Harvick, meanwhile, set the tone in NASCAR as the first driver to win 2 races in 2014 after passing Dale Earnhardt on the penultimate lap at Darlington. At round 3 of the United Sports Car Championship at Long Beach, the Corvette pairing of Antonio Garcia and Jan Magnussen piloted the new C7R to its maiden victory. The iconic racer has now won 4 straight races in the GTLM class following successes at Monterey, Watkins Glen and Ontario. And keeping it in the family, Formula One's Kevin Magnussen joins his father on our 2014 Roll of Honour. The 21-year-old Dane repaid McLaren's faith with a stunning second place in Australia, claiming his first ever podium finish in his first ever race. We've just got time to catch up with the latest action now as we head on to the grid.
Today's roundup starts with the DTM Championship from Russia. BMW driver Maxime Martin claimed his first ever pole position for the 5th round of the DTM season in Moscow. The Belgian made the most of his grid position, steering clear of trouble behind him as Jamie Green and Eduardo Mortara collided. Martin led to the midpoint of the race, but on lap 23 it looked like his luck was about to change. Timo Scheider's stranded Audi heralded the deployment of the safety car. With the pit stop window now increased to lap 37, this potentially handed the initiative to Martin's rivals, who had started on harder tyres. The BMW driver rode his luck though, as principal rival Mike Rockenfeller collided with fellow Audi driver Adrian Tombe on lap 28, which resulted in a second outing for the safety car. Rockenfeller was distraught, admitting to the mistake which ended both his and Tombe's chances. The longer safety car period handed the initiative back to Martin, with Canadian Bruno Spengler chasing from second. Spengler finished ahead of Matthias Ekstrom, who claimed the last podium position after passing Timo Glock in the final laps. Championship leader Marco Wittmann scored valuable points as he also passed Glock to take 4th. Martin had led from start to finish, claiming a convincing win, which was also his first, only 5 races into the season. The result means he becomes the first Belgian to take a DTM victory. At the midpoint of the season, the title race is poised for a thrilling second half. Wittmann has a strong lead, with Ekstrom, Spengler and Mortara slugging it out in the battle for second. Next up, Austria's Red Bull Ring. From Russia to New Hampshire now, where NASCAR's Sprint Cup was hotting up. The first of 2 visits to the 1.1-mile oval in New Hampshire saw Kyle Busch take an early lead from pole ahead of reigning champion Jimmy Johnson in the 48. While Johnson crashed out on lap 11, the 2012 champion looked unstoppable. Giving up the lead twice to take on new tyres, Brad Keselowski used the power of the Ford to carve back through the field. With 4 laps remaining, the Penske man led Denny Hamlin by 2.5 seconds when Justin Allgaier in the 51 brought out the 7th caution of the day.
What happened there? Got on the inside of him, pushed him up out of the groove.
Hamlin dived into pit lane for a splash and dash and dropped down the order, leaving Keselowski and Kevin Harvick on the inside to contest the 5th green-white checkered finish of the season.
Green flag goes back in the air.
Oh, Harvick's out of fuel.
Keselowski, 4 pulls out of line.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, the 4 and the 18 of Kyle Busch were the 2 that were right
Yeah, and
there.
Kyle Busch is sitting second, so when he runs out of fuel, it's going to be a mess if he runs
3
out.
wide off the turn 2. So far, so good for Brad Keselowski on the restart. He's dominated this race. Now he tries to finish the deal. Sees the white flag, and the next one will end it. It would be the 4th straight win for Ford this season. They haven't won 4 in a row since all the way back in 2001. And 2 of those victories going to belong to Brad Keselowski. He dominates again.
Thank you for services. Thank you very much, Paul. You're spoiling me.
First career win for Brad Keselowski here at New Hampshire.
With championship leader Jeff Gordon also running out of fuel, Keselowski is now just 36 points behind, and together with Dale Earnhardt Jr. has now clinched a coveted chase place.
That's it for now, but next time we meet NASCAR's 4-car team and check out the madhouse that is Tim Brown Racing. Until then, head online, on mobile and on tablet to check out grid1.tv. It's the #1 destination to watch your favourite motorsport videos and enter some great competitions. It's all at grid1.tv. See you next time.